Hello everyone, my name is Mahita. I'm your host for today's international webinar on the topic Burnout, Overcoming Burnout for a Fulfilling Life. I extend my warm greetings and a very good evening to all of you present here. So before we start, let me introduce to our SEMS organization. SEMS Welfare Foundation is Section 8 not-for-profit company registered under Companies Act 2013, and it is recognized by Niti Aayog and MSME and MPCOM and DDU KGKY. SEMS have received the Best Service Award for national contribution. And coming to our initiatives, SEMS Group and SEMS Digi Section and Families. So SEMS Group, with a connection of 5,000 plus professionals, SEMS Group has published books and launched an international journal and organized education and health camps for underprivileged children. And DigiSaksham initiative offers over 300 courses in IT and BFSI, retail, and entrepreneurship, impacting diverse age groups. And Families empowers women through workshops, newsletters, and awareness programs in digital literacy, marketing, and career development. We have impacted over 1,000 women across states and recently celebrated the milestone of associating 100 women with the program. So this is a brief about our organization, and in simple line, our commitment to societal contribution and empowerment drives our initiatives, making a meaningful impact on the community. So what is burnout? And I'm sure that everyone has experienced this. So burnout is more than just a feeling tired. It's state of emotional and physical and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It can affect anyone from students to professionals and caregivers and homemakers. And our goal today is to help you recognize the signs of burnout and equip you with practical tools and combat it effectively. So we have our esteemed speaker, Pragna Benagala today. Good evening, ma'am. It is an honor to have you here. So,
Good evening,
hello,
Mahita.
ma'am.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, let me please allow me to introduce you to all the participants. So, Vanagala is a performance optimization specialist, certified NLP practitioner, and ICF associate certified coach, consultant, and trainer. With excessive experience in training, coaching, and mentoring over 1,000 individuals, Pragna has made a significant impact through her engaging and effective communication. She has been a speaker at various corporate events, forums, summits, and earning a numerous accolades for her ability to simplify complex subjects. Pragna's expertise and confidence have led her to speak on international platforms, and she has selected among the Super 500 in Super Speaker Season 3, a competition organized by Success Gyan to find India's best motivation speakers. She is also the author of Ace at Work, a book that guides readers through career growth and fulfillment. A passionate and distinguished Toastmaker, Pragna has been an active member of the Toastmaker fraternity for over 7 years. She has held numerous leadership positions, including immediate past Division B director and a member of the current Club Growth team, where she handles analytics for Club Growth Awards. She is now a district administration manager elect and a member of the Professional Speakers Association of India. So she is uniquely equipped to guide us through today's session. And I welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of our SEMS family, and thank you for joining us. And I would like you to take on the session without further delay. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mahita. Good evening to everyone present here. Now, if you can hear me and see me correctly, can you give me a thumbs up or just type on the chat box, say yes? If you just want to check the chat box is working because we're going to be using it a lot today, yeah? Awesome. All right. So today I'll try my best to make this as interactive as possible. So for all of us can actually be equipped with the tools to handle burnout. All right. So let me start off with one question. Now, if I were to ask you, would your life be better if you weren't so busy all the time? What would you say? Can you let me know in the chat? So would your life be better if you weren't so busy all the time? Yes? No? Better? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, perhaps not. But most likely, a typical answer would be yes, I would like it to be not so busy, but I don't know how. Yeah. So good news. If that is a question on your mind, then you are in the right place today. Okay. I see a whiteboard being shared. Yeah. Thanks. All right. So good evening, everybody. Now, we may not have met before, and I'm not really sure we have ever crossed paths before, but I can tell you, I know 3 things about you. One is you have something special in you. And I tell that because that is why you volunteer your time and effort to some of the amazing causes that Mahita just shared with us. Number two, you have a zeal to learn and improve, else you wouldn't be here in this webinar. And number three, you are probably burnt out or you're heading there. Now, how do I know this? Because I am just like you. Now, our wonderful host Mahita gave you a beautiful introduction about me. Thank you for that, Mahita, first of all. Now, but all that wouldn't have been possible if, like you, I did not feel like I was special, or I did not have a zeal to, learn and improve, or if I was not burnt out. So, in today's talk, we will together explore how you can also learn from my experiences. We will see how we can overcome burnout and make our life fulfilling. Is that something that's interesting for all of you right now? Yes? Awesome. Ashutosh is excited. Yes. Great. All right. So, the key to overcoming burnout is very simple. It's in the title of this webinar. It is to burn right. Burn right. Now, what does that mean? Yes, because we are going to burn no matter what, right? Now, things are never going to become easy. Now, I'm not going to paint a rosy picture for you and say life is going to become easy if you keep working on yourself, challenges will stop coming your way. It won't be. It'll never stop, right? Do you agree? Every day, something or the other is going to happen. It is going to be challenging. It is going to be testing you all the time. And if it is not, that is where the danger is. Now, have you ever seen the hospital machines? Yeah, when they're checking your blood pressure, it's always going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yes? Now, that's what keeps us alive, the up downs. Now, if that line became flat, we would all be dead, isn't it? So that is why this up down is super important for us. And that is actually, in a way, what makes our life interesting. Otherwise, if the same thing happened every day, well, we would not be burnt out. We would actually be bored, isn't it? Yeah. So that is why I say that we will burn no matter what. But the difference is, are you burning because of all the fire that is happening around you? Or are you burning because there is an inner fire that fuels you? So that is the key. Burn right. Now, let me just, with your permission, share a little bit about my story. So, up till about a few years ago, I was working in a corporate environment. I was an IT professional, and then I had my baby. At that point, I was super excited and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be, this person who does everything. So I will do the job, I will take care of my baby, I will raise amazing things, and I'll be, the super mom. I literally had an imaginary cape that I would wear. And it wasn't long before I had that phase that I started burning. At that point, I didn't know that it was burnout, but something or the other kept happening. Something or the other kept me not moving or not being happy in my life. Well, for those of you who have kids or who have seen people with kids, you know how difficult or how challenging the transition can be. So for me, it was equally that. And with a job that wasn't really making me feel like this is what I want to be doing in my life, and leaving a small baby, literally a 5-month-old baby in the daycare, were some of the hardest things I've had to do. And before I knew it, I was faltering at work. I was stressing out like crazy. I was having sleepless nights and everything was going on. And I ended up quitting that job. And for somebody whose entire identity, revolved around their job, for me, that was a very difficult decision. And when I did, I started moving on to things of personal development and self reflection. And I only then started realizing that this was burnout. So that is the first part of the key to burning right. Awareness about burnout. Now, what is burnout? Essentially, burnout is a psychological syndrome that arises from prolonged or continuous exposure to some kind of stress. It could be in the workplace, it could be in your personal life, or both, or everywhere. And burnout, essentially, even WHO classifies it actually is the reason, or it's associated with numerous health issues, including cardiovascular diseases and mental and health conditions such as depression and anxiety. Now, burnout has significant consequences for any individual person, but also for the organizations in which we work in. Why? Because high levels of burnout essentially lead us to increased absenteeism. The productivity is lower and the turnover rates are higher in these organizations, and job satisfaction is reduced among the employees. Now, when this happens, essentially the overall performance and the profitability of an organization is affected. So burnout is a big thing. And as per Gallup surveys, it tells us almost 75% of people are burnt out at some stage or the other in our life. Well, have you been there? Have you experienced burnout? Yes, maybe, maybe not. But the thing is, sometimes we don't know that we are burnt out. Okay, so that's why the first key is about understanding or becoming aware. Now, am I really burnt out? Okay, now burnout is essentially characterized by three primary dimensions: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment. Okay, now what does this mean? Let's look at each one of it in detail. Now, first is emotional exhaustion. So, this is one of the core aspects of burnout. Okay, it is basically feelings of feeling depleted, like you have nothing left to give. You're physically gone, you're emotionally lost, and you're just overextended. You feel like you've been stretched too thin. This is characterized very strongly by fatigue. What is fatigue? Constant tiredness. You feel like I just want to, at the end of the day, you just want to sit on the couch, do nothing, don't talk to anybody, kind of a thing, right? So that is fatigue. And another characteristic is overwhelm. That means you have so many things to do and you're constantly like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Yes. If you have that feeling, keep typing as you're resonating that, yes, I know what that feels like. Okay. So constant overwhelm and stress, excessive stress, where you're unable to cope with any kind of pressure. If something goes wrong, your first reaction is to panic, right? You're not thinking straight when something happens, and you're constantly stressed, and it shows in your physical being also. It leads to headache, stomach pains, you're not able to sleep properly, and all of that can happen. Yes, of course, anxiety, depression, and a general sense of something is wrong, or things are not going right. It should not be like this. Okay, so that's emotional exhaustion. Now, the second characteristic of burnout is depersonalization. Now, what does this mean? This can also be called cynicism. All right, so this basically means you're becoming very negative to everything. Okay, like if everything is just going wrong or anything happens, you're just feeling sad about it. You don't see the good. And suppose exercises like gratitude or positive affirmations are things that sound very strange to you. You're like, I don't know what to be thankful for. You start becoming that negative about life in general. Now, this is generally characterized by a strong detachment. You just feel you're disconnected from everybody, from your work, from your colleagues, your family, friends, or even to yourself. You feel like, I don't know who I am anymore. Yeah. And you adopt this negative outlook towards everything. If suppose you have to do some work, you're like, "Oh, I don't want to do it. I'm going to get scolded, something will go wrong." Or you're always doubting yourself, you're doubting the work, and you generally tend to lack empathy, or you just don't care anymore, kind of a scene. Yes, this basically affects us very heavily when, job satisfaction, yes, that definitely gets affected. We don't feel happy about doing what we are anymore, but also our relationships get strained with our family, with our colleagues, and most importantly, with ourselves. Okay. And generally, our entire professionalism or the quality of work, everything starts getting affected here. So that is depersonalization. Okay. Now, the third characteristic of burnout, which has for me, the strongest resonance, is reduced personal accomplishment. Okay. Now, I believe I am a very confident person. I never had an issue, speaking up in front of people, and I would do my work very well and all that. But when I was burning out, I never realized how negative I had become with myself, right? I lost my value. I essentially could not believe I was good at anything. And I would always doubt myself. I would always feel like I'm not enough. I don't know this enough. I need to study. We're constantly trying to get new certifications, trying to buy this book, that course. I went on a course fringe, to be honest. And I would buy any course that I saw. I'm like, oh, you need this? Yes, okay, buy it. I need it because I'm not good enough. That was very deeply, it started, affecting me. So this is what happens in a typical burnout situation also, where, generally you just start feeling like you're not enough. You doubt your own competencies and you're not successful in your own eyes. Okay. And you start feeling ineffective and you question yourself. You have this sense of like, I don't know what I have achieved in my life, kind of a feeling. You start feeling lack of accomplishing anything. And then a lot of self doubt and negative chatter. Have you been there? Something goes wrong and you go, oh yeah, this is it. Or this is, suppose for example, you forgot to wake up or you set the alarm one day and you woke up late, and you start thinking, oh my god, I woke up late, today's day is going to be horrible, and you make a mistake and you're like, oh gosh, this is going to cause so much problem. Now I'm going to get fired from my job, I am so useless, I blah 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 blah. It is this negative spiral that we start going into, and that affects us a lot because it takes a lot for us to come out of it also. And if we don't recognize that we are actually there, we will actually never get out of it also. Okay, so it affects our self esteem, it affects our confidence, it affects our productivity, it basically affects our career growth also. Because if we are like that, we're not able to perform 100%, then the career also is not going to grow. Correct? Yeah. All right. But have you ever thought, why does this happen? Yes, we are saying it is workloads or stress. Even WHO defines that stressors at workplace cause burnout. But a lot of components go into this. Of course, workload is one aspect of it, right? When you're working overtime, or you're morning 9 till night 10 o'clock, you're working all the time and you have no time for a break, yes, you are going to burn out. But it also comes when you feel a lack of control. Now, if you are constantly just doing things somebody else has told you, they'll be like, okay, go do this, go do that, and you do it, right? Internally, there is a struggle that starts, and that causes the stress and burnout. We all are human beings, right? We love control. We love to have something that we say, yes, this is what I am going to do. So that makes a huge difference. Okay. And next, of course, you can also feel like you're not getting recognized enough, or you're not getting rewarded enough for the effort you're putting. This is especially in the workplace situations, right? If you feel like you're paid very less for what you're doing, or you're not getting enough credit or notice or anything like that, then it starts contributing to that feeling of I'm not enough, and I need to work harder, I need to do more, I need to take on more work, I need to work overtime, and all that starts. Okay. And it also, a big thing is, if you're not surrounded by your family and friends, and if you don't have your good relationships with people around you, that also affects your mental health a lot, and it definitely leads down the path of burnout. Now, I live in Dubai. I am from India, from Bangalore, but I live in Dubai. And when I came here, obviously it was a new place. We didn't have friends, and it took me a long time to actually make any kind of friend. And workplace colleagues, yes, but outside of work, we're not necessarily socializing with them, or taking off the days from them. So it affected me a lot at that point. And I realized all this once I left my job, right? Then I'm like, oh, without these colleagues, I actually don't have strong relationships with people. And that became a big pain point for me. All right. And a biggest reason which I found for me, where we burn out, is if there is a mismatch in values, okay, between us and between the people we are working with or the organization. Now, if we all believe what we are doing is actually adding value to the society, we're making it better, and if that is something that matters to us, then this is not a scenario at all, right? That will not happen. But if we don't necessarily believe in something, like for example, if let's say you're working in a tobacco factory and you don't like smoking, you believe smoking actually kills people, but you're working in a tobacco factory to make a livelihood, you are going to burn out because there is a value mismatch happening here. All right, so are you with me? Yes, awesome. Okay, now we know the characteristics of burnout. We have seen what causes it and how it feels, how it actually exists. But how do we know if we are burnt out? Yes, it's easy to tell the theory, right? We can say, yeah, okay, burnout means you should be tired, you'll have sleep issues, blah blah blah. But then how do you know if you are actually heading towards burnout, or you are actually burnt out? I'm giving you this question to think about this, because this is very important. Now, first of all, now if you are, let's say we are inside a bottle, okay, let's say a glass jar or a glass bottle. Now, if you are inside a bottle, can you read the label that is on the bottle? No, right? Yeah, we can't read it. How will you read the label on the bottle? If you get out of it, correct? Or if somebody else tells you what is there, right? Now, there is a famous quote which I always forget who says it, and I need to find my source, but it's about, you cannot solve the problems with the same mind that has created the problem, right? So you cannot be inside that jar and say, okay, I think I'm not burnt out, or I think I'm fine, I'm okay, things are normal. Yeah, but that's not the case at all. There is a lot that we can do. Now, I want to have a quick exercise with all of you, if it's okay. Okay, let's try to see if we are able to recognize our stage of burnout. All right. Now, I want you to remember or recall a time in your life when you were the best version of yourself. You were feeling great, things were going amazing for you, everything was just Perfect. Yes, can you think of a time like that? Can you give me some examples in the chat box on what is that time where you were super, happy and successful in your words or just fulfilled in life? Anybody? So I'll share my example. So for me, that is when I was in, I think I would be around 20, 21 years old. So this was when I was in college. So that was my best time ever because I was studying very well. I was doing all extracurricular activities. I had people around me all the time, and everything was amazing. And I got recruited in the initially from my college. As soon as I applied for interviews, I was clearing. Everything was going brilliantly. Okay. Madhurima says, when I cracked my dream university. Brilliant, Madhurima. Anybody else wants to share? It could be something personal. If you don't want to share, that's absolutely okay. But at least keep it in mind. Okay. So think of that time of your life. Now, think of that time versus now. All right. And see the kind of differences if you're able to assess. Now, let's look at a few signs which are different. Number one, physical signs. Okay. So back then when things were going great, and now how would you rate yourself? Okay, so for every point that I'm telling, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 being 1 being okay, 10 being not okay. All right. So compare yourself. So back then versus now, how is your sleep pattern? Is it okay? Is it not okay? Right? I'm saying in comparison to your past. Okay. I'm not saying, people say you should sleep 8 hours a day. So compared to 8 hours a day, I sleep only 6 hours a day. So my sleep pattern is very bad. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you. If you used to sleep 6 hours a day back then and you sleep 6 hours a day now, that's fine. Right? But if you used to sleep less before and now you sleep more, then that is indicating some challenge there. Okay. Are you understanding how to do this? Yes. Okay. Right. So for every point, start scoring yourself. All right. Thank you, Bhagwan, for sharing your number. Okay. So physical signs, your sleep patterns or sleep problems, you're unable to fall asleep, you're unable to wake up, whatever it is. Okay. Then mood swings. You're very moody off late or back then. So I'm saying in comparison again. Yeah. So you're very moody. That means you're suddenly triggered. You're suddenly, you get irritated. You feel fatigue, of course, headaches, gastrointestinal issues, health issues in general. Have they increased in your life or have they decreased? Okay. And are you more prone to illness now? So I actually at one point was very prone to cold. Every 3-4 weeks, I would actually catch a cold. That was my sign of, okay, something is not right. Yeah. Okay. Next. So the next category of things you would evaluate yourself are emotional signs. Now, are you overwhelmed? Are you anxious? Do you feel drained in energy or emotionally drained? Are you unable to cope with the challenges life is throwing at you? Or, you have weird coping mechanisms like, you start overeating, for example, or you lose appetite altogether. Or you could, go down the road of alcohol or, sugar, for example. Sugar is a big addictive factor for a lot of people. Okay. Then do you lack motivation? Okay. Is there detachment? Is there a sense of isolation? Is there like you're interested, you used to love doing some activities and you do the same activities now and you're like you're not interested anymore. Yeah, for me that was painting. I used to love painting. You give me a paint and a brush and I would do something or the other, but now you give me a paint and a brush, I feel like I don't want to do it anymore. Okay. So we lose interest in the activities that we loved once. Okay. We start feeling inadequate. We start doubting ourselves. We start fearing failure. Okay. Or we look at anything that happens as a failure. And negativity. How different was it back then and now? Okay. Now, if you're with me and this is making sense, can you type in the chat box MS? Which says makes sense. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Good. All right. So the next category that we would self-assess is in terms of behavioral signs. Now, is there a drop in your productivity? Like I used to be able to do so much before. Like, if I had big to-do lists, I could do it, but now I'm not able to do it. Now, we attribute this to say, oh, this is age factor. I'm sorry, but there is no age factor. It is only mental factor. Okay. Now, our effectiveness at work has decreased. We are starting to procrastinate things, or we're neglecting some responsibilities that are given to us, or we become increasingly irritable. Right, suddenly you start getting irritated, or you're becoming more angry around people. I started noticing this first because when my child used to do anything naughty, I would usually be the calm person in the house. I would talk to him very nicely, be very patient. But then during that phase where I was also in that burnout situation, everything he did used to irritate me. I realized I was shouting at him for, small things that he would do. Okay, of course, he's a kid, he would do it, right? But in that moment, my brain was not processing it. All right. So, and like I said, excessive reliance on food, on alcohol, on cigarettes, whatever, right? There are different ways that we cope. And there is a lack of focus, there is forgetfulness, and all of this. Yes. Now, I want you to tell me, do you see a significant difference between the time that you were performing your best and now? Yes. How different is it? Is it one, not different at all, I'm still in that phase, or 10, oh my god, I don't even know who that person was? Yeah. Okay. Bhagwan says 5, Ashutosh says 2. Good. So 2 is a good number. Yeah. So 2 does not, 2 means yes, you're more or less still in that phase. So anybody who's scoring 5 or above in the terms of, okay, things are very different from when I was doing my best to now, that means there is a signal, that is a red flag or a yellow flag, that things are not going right. Okay. So that is our first indicator. Now, just one thing to remember, when you score yourself on these questions, of course, it's important to be honest, but it's also important that you don't judge yourself. Okay. It's okay that you are burning out. It happens. You're not a machine, you're human. Right? Even machines burn out. Machines stop functioning after a few years, right? They have warranties on them. People don't have warranties. Yes? Do people have warranties? No, right? At least not that I'm aware of. Okay. Now you know that. Just know that you are burning out or you're heading towards burnout if that is an indication that is coming to you. And see how it is affecting you or what is causing that burnout. Now, that is the level of awareness we need first to overcome burnout. Okay. Now, once we have this information, we can move on to the next step of the key to burning right, which is change the way you approach your work and your life. This is my favorite. All right. Now, Einstein had a definition, right? So you cannot do something over and over again and do the same thing again and again and expect different results. Agreed? That is not practice, that is not progress, that is insanity, right? So if you are doing something from so many years or so many months or days and you're like, I'm doing it, I'm continuing to do it, it's fine, is the biggest excuse you can tell yourself. Okay. If because growth is not linear, growth has to be exponential. Okay. It has to go upward. So you cannot be doing the same thing over again, and then look back and say, oh, I did. I'm changing every day, but overall, if you haven't changed, that means there is no growth there. That means you haven't personally challenged yourself, or you're not, or you're being, taking a step back because you're procrastinating too much, or you're not taking on challenges enough. Now, a key aspect of fulfillment in life is we need to be challenged. If somebody says, okay, I'll give you $1,000,000 or whatever you want, what would you like to do? A typical answer I hear from people is, oh, I would want to retire, buy a beach house, go sit in the mountains and things like that and do nothing. Like, I don't want anything, I don't want to work. Yes, have you made some statements like that in the past? Invest, yes, that is a smart thing to do, but I'm just saying, as a person, what do you want to do? You'll be like, yeah, I just want to chill, I don't want to do anything. But that's a very superficial answer. Okay. If you are on a vacation for a very long time, you'll get bored of that vacation. Yes. Yeah. But if you're constantly going on vacations, like every day one new place, if you're traveling, you will burn out. So there is a balance that we need to draw between burnout and boredom. Okay. So when you have, if I say I'm going to give you all the money in the world, what do you want to do? Invest is a very smart option, like Ashutosh suggested. However, it's not, I want to buy a beach house and go live there or retire, right? It's always, we want to keep doing something. Okay. So we need to keep trying. Now, how do we do this? Like, how do we change the way we look at work or look at life in general? Okay. The first thing is you need to reframe what success means to you. Okay. Now, I know for a lot of us, working overtime or staying late or doing things just because our parents told us to and things like that is very normal. Is it for you? Yes, it happens. There was work today. I had to stay late. I stayed late. Yeah. But that is not an indicator of success, but it is an indicator of unsustainable lifestyle. Okay. Now, how do we deal with this is number one, understand what success means to you, not comparison, saying that person has a car, that person has a house, so I want a car, I want a house. That is not our driver. That does not define what success means to us. Okay. Maybe it does. Maybe you want to be living, a millionaire lifestyle, or you want to buy your own house and do things like that. That's absolutely fine too. But is it yours? And why do you want it? Is it because you really want it from deep down, or because there is societal pressure? Okay, this question comes up often. People say, why are you not married? Right, you go to a job, you finish your college, they'll be like, when are you getting a job? You get a job, they'll be like, when are you getting married? When you get married, they'll be like, when are you having a kid? When you have a kid, they'll be like, when are you having a second kid? Yes. So it's like a constant cycle. Now, is that cycle because you want it? It's okay to want it, right? It's okay. I want to study. I want to get a job. I want to get married. I want to have a child. I want to have a second child. That is my personal choice. But is it a personal choice, or is it because people around you are telling you that that is what you should do? Okay. Start becoming aware of that and then reevaluate your goal. It is your journey. So make it yours. Okay. And secondly, understand what you're working with in terms of resource. Okay. Now, everybody who here has more than 24 hours a day, does anybody here have 24 hours a day? No? Of course, yes. No. All of us have 24 hours a day. If I said, do you have more than 24? Your answer is no. But you have 24 hours, yes? No matter where you live, which part of the world you are, where you're going, you have 24 hours. Correct? Yes. That is a standard for everybody. But how some people are able to do so many things, some people are not able to do so many things. It's nothing to do with time. It's got to do with how you are managing yourself. Yes. So this also has to do with your, beliefs about. Now, there is a difference we need to understand here between, limits and limiting beliefs. Now, you can believe I have all the time in the world. Okay. Or you can believe I don't have any time. Now, that is a belief. But you have 24 hours, that is a fact. That is a limit. Okay. Now, in 24 hours, how much you can do, that is a limit. But I can't do anything is a limiting belief. I hope you understand this difference. Okay. It's very important because a lot of times we burn out not because of limits that we set for ourselves, but because of limiting beliefs that we have. Okay. So it's important to remember that we can achieve anything we want to achieve. It's just that we can't achieve everything we want to achieve at once. Yes, we only have two hands. We only have 24 hours in a day. We only have this much capacity. But you can always stretch yourself. You can dream big. There is no end for that. But there are physical limitations, right? Yeah. Okay. So once you do all of this work and you determine your self-worth, stop seeking external validation, first of all. Especially, looking at, if you do something, are you looking at other people to say, okay, good job, right? So am I looking at another person saying, oh, Pragya, you did a good job, congratulations? Why do I need them to tell me? Don't I know that I have done a good job? Yeah. So that is the kind of thinking we need to start developing, but we do this from our childhood, right? So if our children also do something, we go and say, oh, good job, you painted a picture. Even if it is a bad picture, we go and tell the kid, right? Oh, you did such a good job, right? If it's not your kid, I'm sure you have seen children around and you always encourage them. Where is that encouragement when you become an adult? You start seeking it from external source. So that is something we need to avoid and see if we can actually find that within ourselves. Okay. And another thing that helps us in changing the way we work or the way we approach life is getting rid of three things: blaming, complaining, and criticizing. Stop doing that. Nobody is going to come and help you. If you are burning out, it is your responsibility. Okay. It is nobody else's. Nobody else is going to come and, save your day. Nobody else is going to come and say, oh, Pavam, nothing. It's you. Okay. So stop blaming other people. First of all, don't say, oh, my boss did this. That is why I am burning out. Or my mother said this, that is why I'm burning out. I'm sorry, it is your choices because of which you are burning out. Okay. And also complaining. How many of you complain here? Yes. Do you? When was the last time you complained about anything? Can you let me know in the chat box? Sometimes, yeah. A lot of people complain a lot of time. Yeah. So I always recall this funny thing which says, humans are funny. When it is hot, they say, oh, it is so hot, I want it cold. When it becomes cold, you say, oh, it is so cold, now I want it hot. Yes, that's definitely the case. Now in Dubai, it is almost touching 50 degrees and we're like, oh, it's hot, we want winters. But all of winters, we were like, oh my God, it's the days are so short, we want longer days. But you got longer days with the heat. Okay, so we constantly complain, be it the weather, be it something else, be it somebody else. Right, so let's stop doing these three. If you really want to overcome burnout, you are not a victim. You are a high performer. You will overcome burnout if you think like a high performer. Right, you take charge of your time, your energy, your resources, and you make intentional decisions that align with your goals and your value. Okay, and another very, very, very important aspect of burnout or overcoming burnout is promoting a balance. Now, there is a pie chart, very famous one, which is okay, if this is the circle, your entire work is almost that much and little bit for your life, right? But reality, how it should be, your entire life, your work should be only a part of it. You have other aspects of your life. So, this is very important for us to remember. Most of us, including me, are workaholic. We think work. So, if I ask you, hi, what's your name? You'll tell me your name. If I ask you, what do you do? Your answer is going to be my job. Yes? You will tell me I work here in this company. I do this. Yes or no? Yes, that is how you introduce yourself to the world, because work is an identity for us. It is not something we just do to earn money. It is an identity. And as long as it is an identity, we are going to struggle. It's like, let's look at it as this. Now, let's assume we are juggling. Okay, and we're juggling with one ball which is work, one ball which is family, one ball which is health, one ball which is, I don't know, leisure interests, one ball which is I don't know, whatever. Okay, you have your dreams, your aspirations, everything is one ball, and you're juggling. This is how we live our life. Now, what if all these balls were glass ball? What happens then, right? The chances when you are juggling, how long can you keep juggling? Depending on your level of juggling. Some people don't know juggling. I don't know juggling. It'll fall the moment I try. Yes. So the moment you try to do something, the balls will be down. And what happens if this was glass balls? Wouldn't it break? Yeah. How many of you here are juggling? Can you type J in the chat box if you are the ones who are juggling everything in your life? Yeah, I am. I'll admit it. I was juggling everything. You remember the invisible cape that I wanted to wear and fly as the super mom? Yeah. Okay. But let's understand one thing. Life is not a juggle. There are different ways to live this, and that is what is the next step of overcoming burnout, is understand the game. This is not a game of juggling. All right, now what you actually have to do is understand two things in this game. It is a game of balance and it is a game of cycle. All right, let me explain what that means. Now, have you seen a balance? You know, that weighing scale or a handheld scale which has two things. Yeah, two plates on either side and they balance. Yeah. So let's imagine one is work, one is like balance. You need to balance both of it, your burnout will be gone. I'm sorry, that's not what I'm going to tell you. Okay. Balance is between your on and your off state. What do I mean by that? On state is basically things where you are doing your things. They are actually your detractors. This is where you're working, you're contributing and doing things. Your off state is when you are recharging and resting. Most people think the balance is work-life balance. There is no work-life balance. There is only work-life harmony. All right. So the balance is essentially between your performance and your recovery. How much of this are you able to do? Okay. And the second aspect is a cycle. Okay. I like to call this as the performance cycle. Three aspects to this. Very simple. You take action. Okay. You gather feedback and you tweak those actions and repeat this cycle. As simple as that. Okay. Now, how do we apply this? How do we actually implement this? You're like, okay, all this sounds great, but what are you actually saying? You're talking, you zoned out. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you zoned out right now. Now, what we need to do essentially is not balancing the balls on the scale, but put everything down, pick one up at a time and do it, take it for a ride on the cycle. Now, the real game is to know which ball to pick up and apply where. Okay, understanding this and applying that to the whole game is what is going to be a game changer in your productivity, performance, and your life. Now, how do we do this? Number one, you set goals. Okay, like I said, it's not other people's goals, not what other people have told you, not what their expectations are of you, but set your goals. Okay, and if you're like me, then you'll have like a gazillion things to pursue and learn and do all the things, right? But doing everything together, like I'll do little bit of this, little bit of this, little bit of this, you're only going to become busy. You're not going to become optimized. And that's not going to help you with your burnout. Okay. What will help you is to determine your why. Why are you doing something and what is it? Why is it? Why do you wake up? What is propelling you to go do a certain thing? Your why is your direction. Okay. And once you have your why, you plan and you strategize in terms of, okay, so I'm going to plan, for example, I want to work on my, let's say I want to get a new degree. Now I want to do this because I believe this is going to help me become better at what I want to do. It is going to help me in my career, whatever it is. Okay, whatever is your reason for it. Now, the next step is to plan that I'm going to pick up this ball, which is this studying for this degree or preparing for this degree, and strategize where you're going to place it in your life. Now, look at your life as a calendar, as a 7-day calendar. Okay. And every ball that you pick up, now for example, studying for a degree is not a small thing, right? It's going to require a lot of time, lot of effort. But how much time and how much effort? And plan that out in your calendar. Block your time, saying, okay, every day 1 hour I will sit and study, for example. Okay, that is what planning and strategizing is all about. Okay, and once you do that, a very, 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 very important thing, if you don't take away anything from this session, one thing that I urge you to take away is, please personalize the advice or the ideas that you get from everywhere. What do I mean by this? Now, let me give you an example here, my own story. Now, when I was started reading all these books on productivity, performance, and everything, everybody would start talking about wake up early, wake up at 5 o'clock. There is a golden hour at 3:30 to 4:30. So wake up at 5 o'clock. Okay. So people would say wake up earlier also, but 5 o'clock was a standard average number that I would keep coming across everywhere. Now, why wake up at 5 o'clock? Now, what I had a small child in the house who would not let me sleep before 12 o'clock. Okay, he would not sleep. But then, because I was so interested and invested in my personal growth, that I have to wake up at 5 because everybody told me I have to wake up at 5. I actually started waking up at 5. Okay, I did everything possible. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I ate it and absorbed the entire thing. Okay, but then I would wake up at 5. I woke up religiously for 30 days because people said you do something for 21 days, it will become a habit. Then somebody said do something for 66 days, it will become a habit. So I continued, I stuck to it, and I woke up at 5 o'clock at least almost for 94 days. Now, what do you think happened in those days? Any guesses? What do you think happened to me in those 4 days? In those, 94 days that I actually woke up at 5 o'clock? I was exhausted. You were right. I was burnt out because everybody was saying do something, and I was doing it, not reflecting on is it working for me. Feeling energetic, that was definitely not what happened. I would feel very energetic in the morning for a few hours, but then throughout the day I would slouch and procrastinate, and everything would go wrong. Okay, now that did not work for me, especially because I had a small child who would wake me up like 2-3 times in the night, and he would not let me sleep until 12 in the first place, and I would hardly get 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Okay, so it was just pure chaos at that point. So that is why it's important to personalize what you're learning. Anybody says anything, don't just apply it. Okay, we need to know how to make this work, and this will only happen when you follow those 3 steps I told you, where you start doing something, you get feedback, and then you tweak. Okay, now if this was the example, let's say you wanted to wake up at 5, very well, get up at 5. Once you understand your why, go ahead and wake up at 5, but keep getting feedback from what is happening. Okay, feedback comes from other people telling you, okay, somebody is noticing that, oh, you're being more energetic, or somebody is saying, oh, you've become very irritable lately, or you notice it yourself. Self reflection is the most powerful way of getting feedback. Okay, once you have this feedback, then you tweak and say, you know what, 5 o'clock maybe did not work for me. For me, what worked, even if I woke up at 5:30, if I woke up at 6, my days were much more productive. Okay, so it is a continuous experiment that you do, but you have to take an action, get feedback on that action, and then tweak it to make sure it fits for you. Okay, don't let anybody tell you this is how things should be. So you will burn out if you're listening to other people, period. Okay, listen to yourself. Okay, right. So now, how can we overcome burnout and make ourselves more fulfilling? Burn right. Okay, how do you do that? By implementing a performance optimization mindset, which are the 3 steps I spoke to you about so far. And just like a key works, you put the key, you turn it, and you take out the key. Even here, the first step is develop awareness. You change the way you approach work, and you understand the game of balance and cycle. Now, today, I throw a challenge to all of you. Pick one idea, any idea, either from here or something else that you have heard. Pick one idea. It can be your detractor or it can be your enhancer. You remember the balance? It can be on either side of things. It can be things you want to improve in your work or things you want to improve in your non-work time, your downtime. Like, for example, I just want to work out more, right? I want to exercise more, or I want to meditate, or I want to do something. Now, downtime, by the way, guys, is not saying I'm going to sit and watch TV. That is the most passive downtime that we have. Okay, if it is intentional, I understand, but whatever it is, your downtime should be intentional. It should be helping you recover from all the work that you are doing. Watching TV actually makes you feel more tired mentally because your brain is exposed to much more light and signals, and every second those signals are changing. Microseconds, they are changing, and your brain is processing a lot more things than if you think you're sitting idle. Okay, so when I say pick something, either a detractor or an enhancer, pick something at work or at leisure but intentional leisure. Okay, something that helps you recover. Perfect examples for this are meditation, exercise, reading, learning, okay, anything of that sort. Try any one of those and start playing the game. And what do? You start doing it, gather feedback on is it working, is it not working, and then you start tweaking it to make it work for you, right? It's as simple as that. This entire talk from the last 45 minutes plus is only this. Pick one thing, okay, and then just do it, get feedback, and tweak it going forward. And how do you tweak it? The feedback should tell you what is working, what is not working, and what you can change going forward. All right. So just do that bit, and you will actually start to see that you are burning out much lesser and you're actually starting to burn right. Are you with me, everybody? Is this making sense now? Yeah, great. Okay. So at this point, I'm sure you all feel like, yeah, we can do this. It sounds very simple. But if you ever need any help, find me on social media. Okay, you can find me, you'll find me on LinkedIn. I'll share the link here as well. Right, I also have a book, Ace at Work. This is something that you could grab as well, and reach out to me wherever, and we can have a chat to get there. Right, now we do have some time for your questions, so it'll be great if we can have it. I see Ghansham, your hand is raised. Do you have a question, Ghansham?
Said that we have to see our off time and working time and see some idea and rework, get the feedback and retweet.
Yes.
But I'm retired. The whole time is not a working time for me. Then what should be balanced?
Okay. Then the question would be for you, okay, what is making you feel like you aren't being fulfilled, right?
Pardon?
So for example, let me rephrase that. So too much of anything is not going to help you, right? So if you are working or if you're not working, it doesn't matter. Even if you're retired, you do a lot of things throughout the day, correct? Yeah. So in all of those things, is there an element of burnout? Are you, like, you understand I spoke about boredom and burnout? Where are you in that scale? So if you are heading towards burnout, then try to add more elements of active leisure. Okay. Sometimes like I said, most of our leisure time, by the way, goes into our phones. Yes, all of us have this. This is a big devil nowadays. Everybody is sitting. You have free time. The moment you have free time, you're sitting and scrolling on your Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Yes. Yeah. So that is not intentional free time. That is, you had some time and you wasted it scrolling Instagram, for example. Okay. Or you wasted it watching the news. But if you plan to say, I am going to spend half an hour a day watching news and I'm okay with that, then that's perfectly fine. Then you're not burning out because you're being intentional, right? So Ghansham sir, to address your question, if you're not working and you're retired, then how do you, take one of each? Then figure out what are the active elements in your life. Okay, what is it that you want to focus on?
Madam,
Okay, it's possible that you're not burning out. Yeah.
I have attended more than 5,000 webinars. I have got the certificates, more than 5,000 certificates.
Very
So
nice.
I'm not wasting my time. That is a satisfaction to me.
Correct. I understand that. So I'm not saying you are, right? So I'm saying, but if you are burning out, now, for example, let me tell you an example of mine. Okay. So when I was in that phase where I was burning out, I had a tendency to say, I want to learn more things. I was enrolling into more courses because I was feeling like I'm not enough. Okay. I was not doing it with the intention of, I want to learn more things. I was not doing it with the intention of, a positive thing, saying, okay, a new certificate will help me learn something or will help me grow. Now you can attend 5,000 webinars, 100,000 webinars, but if you're not implementing what you're learning, then it's not helping you grow, right? But it's not necessary that you have to grow. If you're like, you know what, I like attending webinars because I enjoy listening to different people, different perspectives, that's beautiful. And that makes you fulfilling then. Yes?
Yeah, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, I see one in the chat box. Aditya is asking, what are some effective strategies to identify and address the early signs of burnout before it becomes overwhelming? Absolutely. So the first thing, like I said, is to start paying attention to your physical, emotional, and behavioral changes in yourself. That is the simplest way to do it. It is self-awareness, and also pay attention to what people around you are telling you. Okay. Sometimes if you're living, for example, if you're living with your mother will tell you, hey, what happened to you? Nowadays, you've become so lazy. You're not doing anything, right? It may be just a mother venting out her emotion, but it can also be an information for you to say, am I really becoming more lazy? You understand? It's about becoming excessively aware of what people are telling you and your own physical, behavioral, and emotional changes that you are seeing. Okay. So before, yes, that is exactly about preventing burnout in the first place? So that's a wonderful question, Aditya. Did I answer it? Okay. Mahita, any other questions? You can help me out.
No, ma'am, I didn't receive any other questions.
Okay.
So I request all the participants, if there is any questions, please make sure to drop your questions in the chat box.
Okay, so Ashutosh has one question here. So you said that while we introduce ourselves, we use our work in what we do. Yeah. So what would be a better alternative to introduce ourselves when someone asks us to do? Say, okay, very good question, Ashutosh. Now, okay, the three typical answers we give to this question. Okay, so what do you do? You'll either say I work at SEMS, or I am a project manager, or I am a volunteer. You're introducing either your role or your company, right? Or your position or the exact job specification that you're doing. Instead of that, try to change the wordings to what is the impact you are creating, right? I know at SEMS, all of you guys are doing such amazing work, right? You can actually confidently go and say, you know what, I'm helping change the world. I'm helping more women become empowered, right? So, for example, if somebody says, what do? You say, I help women be more empowered in their job, right? What are you doing there? You're adding a lot of purpose for your own work, right? That changes the way you are looking at your work also. It's not just I'm turning up at office, I'm doing these XYZ tasks and I'm leaving, but it's adding more meaning to it. Did that answer your question, Ashutosh? Awesome. Okay, so I'm just surprised nobody asked me. So there is a lot of things, that we have to do. All this is great, but what do you recommend you do first? I'm really surprised nobody asked me what should be the first step that we are taking here. Okay, so if I have to tell you what are the first things, so if you don't know which ball to pick, for example, the first thing you do is focus on your health, because if you don't have your health, nothing else will matter. Okay, so health is number one that you start with. Any changes you want to overcome burnout, get up and go for a walk, as simple as that. Okay, just go play with a dog, go play with your children, or just go to the park, go sit in greenery, whatever it is. Choose what works for you. Now if I say go for a walk, it is 50 degrees in Dubai, and if I go out for a walk, I will get dehydrated and I'll faint somewhere, right? So it won't work for me. Okay, so do anything that works for you. Are you with me? So you start with one thing, which is your health. Do something for your health today, every day. All right. So now if I were to ask you, would life be better if you weren't so busy all the time? Perhaps not. Yeah. But after today, I challenge you to think about what you are doing and how you do it all. Because burnout is not normal. You can do a lot. You can live a fulfilling life. You can support all your causes. You can have your personal time, travel, everything without burning out. What you need to do is burn right. Now, we may not have met before, but I do know three things about you. You have the power of choice to change your life. Your zeal to learn and improve, which brought you here to this webinar, will make this journey easier for you. And you will burn not just right, but you will burn bright if you are able to implement even a few of the mindset shifts that we are discussing today. And how do I know this? Because I am just like you, and I have been there where you are also. So burn right and burn bright. Thank you for having me over here. Mahita, sorry. Why do I keep calling you Mahita?
It's fine, ma'am. It's Mahita.
Mahita, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring and insightful session. And I hope our audience has gained a wealth of knowledge from the session, and your expertise and valuable words on overcoming burnout and have provided in practical strategies for leading a more fulfilling life. So we appreciate your time and effort in sharing your knowledge with us. Yeah, so coming to the end, as we wrap up, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for all of you to participate and engaging in the session. And remember, taking yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. So I hope you leave today with a valuable insights and practical steps to overcome burnout and lead a more fulfilling life. And stay connected with us. Follow our social media channels and YouTube channels for latest updates and insightful contents.